Good morning, Majestic Queen. How are you? It's been a while, and I'll tell you the reason why. I lost my significant other on April the 25th, 2026. It was so unexpected and shocking to me. He died because his heart gave out on him, and he could no longer sustain life with that heart. And so, unfortunately, I was at a loss. So in this season of the Majestic Queen audio podcasts, we will be speaking about grief and trauma. Now, in the last season, which was season 4, we did speak about some of the things that are related to trauma. And I even defined trauma for you so that we could be on the same page. Majestic Queen, I am talking about my own grief now. I've been exposed to death for a very long time. I've been the person to travel with my grandmother back and forth to every funeral that was going on in the church at a very young age. So death is not new to me. I've had family members to die, and of course, I felt the pain of that. We all do. But this time, grief was more complicated for me. And I said, oh my God, grief is real. In a way that I never thought about it or felt it before. It was on a different level. It was more compounded. Not because the person died, but because it was so shocking and so unexpected. So, Majestic Queen, that is the reason I was not with you. Now, I'm going to go into what grief is all about so that we can once again be on the same page and we can identify our circumstances that we have gone through in life as it relates to grief. Because guess what? Everyone experiences grief in different ways. Majestic Queen, I was like, oh my God, am I going to ever get through this? And I would have my ups and my downs. I would have my ins and my outs. I would feel sad one minute and happy the next minute. And these mood states and energy levels are still going on with me, but now that a great deal of time has passed, I am managing it more effectively. So as long as you can manage it as effectively as you can, then you're going to be okay. As long as you have the expectation that every day is not going to be a good day. You're going to have some days where you will be in deep reflection about everything that you and that person experienced together. Now, a lot of times, Majestic Queen, people think of grief as just the loss of a loved one or someone who is very significant to you. It could be a good friend, okay, still considered a loved one in your heart. I know. Majestic Queen, but losing a home or a job, a natural disaster, like for example, a big fire for people who live out in California, it could be devastation because of floods. That's a natural disaster. But it can also be when you see someone that you love go through a difficult time because life is more complicated for them than it could be for you. That is not easy. Well, Queen, back to my significant other. We were not married, but we were in a relationship for 17 years. However, I knew the individual for about 28 years. And he always wanted to be in a relationship with me. And I rejected him so many times until finally one day I gave him a chance. And I'm happy that I did. Well, Majestic Queen, as the story goes on, his life was more complicated than my life ever was on so many different levels. So to see him going through these type of complications that he went through, it saddened me. And it made me want to jump in and help to the best of my ability. So Majestic Queen, he was not only my friend, my significant other, but he was my baby. And so now my baby is gone. And I have to face life on levels that I had never experienced before. And so for this season 5, Queen, I decided what we will talk about is this grief and trauma. Now, once again, in season 4, we talked about trauma, but we will choose different topics that's related to trauma. Because I swear, and I must tell you this, Queen, the bereavement period in the therapist world, for any client that he or she may see, we look at it and measure it on a 6-month period. Beyond that 6 months, it becomes major depression. Before the 6 months is over, it's just bereavement. And so we can expect that the person is going to be sad and feeling low and not wanting to do anything. And in his or her reflections about the past, we expect that. So I kept telling myself, because it's now my turn, I kept saying, okay, you're in your 2nd month. It's expected that you don't feel like getting out of the bed today. It's expected that the only thing you can do is get up and wash the dishes and take your bath and put on a fresh set of night clothes and lay back across the bed. It's expected that you're going to be crying. Sometimes you're going to have such a hard, ugly cry, And sometimes it's just going to be that the tears flow naturally. Every time you hear a song or you walk through your house and he has placed something in that room and you look around and you notice that something and you say, oh my God, he gave me this. And then you're crying all over again. Oh yes, Queen, it was like that for me. And I know it could be like that for you. Someone can identify with what I'm talking about right now. So I felt it was imperative that we have a conversation about it, Queen, because we want to get through these times. So the 5th season of the Majestic Queen audio podcast is starting today. Yes, ma'am. And if we have any sirs on the line, it relates to you too. And please join in. So I'm going to tell you about this day, and I hope that it flows in this way. I'm opening up on location. I am in Delaware. And so by being in Delaware, there's something that is going on. And that is the reason I decided that I can work my normal activities during the day. So I will be engaging in my regular therapeutic activities with clients that I serve. But this evening, that's when the real kickoff starts. Now, I am going to have a different video a little later during the day, because if we are experiencing grief, and I know that I am, and I know that someone is going to pick up on this video presentation, and they are too. Well, we have to create our own conditions so that we can change our thought processes and deal with the grief. Once again, those mood states are going to be up and down, up and down. But if you're down, it doesn't mean you have to stay there. Oh no. You can get up and you can do something to re-energize yourself. And that can come in many forms. So I decided on Sunday to get on the train. I said, I need a train ride. That's what I said to myself, Queen. I need a train ride because the train ride takes my mind away as I look out of the window and I see the different environments moving through my mind, my heart, and my spirit. There's a connection. And that connection is I am seeing something different. My mind is not focused on the past. I am focused on what I see right here and right now. Okay, so Queen, I arrived in Delaware, not too far from my hometown, which is in Baltimore, Maryland. Well, anyway, Queen, I get off the train. I sit on the bench. I talk to someone who's sitting on the bench too. Had a conversation for about 20 minutes. Then her next train was coming and she was back on the train and going in her destination. So I looked across the pathway and I saw what I came to see. I saw the riverfront. So I said, well, let me make my way over to the riverfront. Now, what I did not explain to you, Majestic Queen, is that I am on a walker because I'm having some medical issues just as well. So me and my walker went over to the riverfront, and what did I see? I saw all of these ducks. I saw the water. I love seeing the water. I love seeing the ducks. And I looked over and there was a water taxi that was coming through. So all I heard was the sound of the horn blowing, boom, boom, boom. And I looked over and I said, well, what is that? Because I'm most curious, especially when I'm on my excursion. I am curious. So my eyes fixated on the bridge as it opened up, separated, let the water taxi through, and then lowered itself and closed. Well, I have only seen this on TV. So to me, that was spectacular. That was amazing. It doesn't take much to make me happy. Not at all, Queen. I see something like that and I'm like, ooh, that's amazing. So, of course, as I look around, I see my ducks. Did you hear me say my ducks? See, I took ownership of those ducks. I saw my ducks and I could see that they were looking for food to eat. Well, whenever I travel, Queen, I have a lunch bag with me with the things that I want to eat while I'm on the train, or if I decide I'm going to sit out in the environment in which I have arrived to, then I can sit out in that environment and I can eat a sandwich, drink some tea, eat a little snack, and be happy, okay? Because when you travel, food is very expensive. So I said, oh no, I have a travel bag that's just for my food. I said, I'm going to be just like Patti LaBelle. Patti LaBelle travels with her food too. I'm going to pack my food. It's going to be cheaper. And so I'm sitting there on the bench looking at the ducks and they are hungry. So I pull out, I have some potato bread rolls. So I pull it out and I started feeding the duck. Well, the ducks from all the way across the pathway, who were not in my little vicinity, decided they were going to fly over to you. Oh, they were running. I thought I was getting ready to be attacked by the ducks. I was like, oh my God, what I do? That's an experience because they came fast. I was like, oh God, I'm surrounded by the ducks. So I fed the ducks, and I noticed that because there was so many, I did not have enough. So what else did I have in my bag? I had my graham crackers, and I said, oh no, you're not getting my graham crackers. I have to eat these graham crackers, but you can eat the saltine crackers. So I pulled out the sleeve of saltine crackers, broke them up, and I started feeding the ducks, and they were happy for a while. And they stayed around me, and then I was tired. I said, look here, ducks, I came on a vacation. I don't have any more food. And so I went to another section of a park, and a few of them decided they were going to follow me. And I said, well, you can be around me, but it was just too many. And I knew I did not have any more food. I wish I had it, but I did not. So, and then I decided to get into my Uber, come to the hotel that I'm staying in, and check in, get a couple bottles of soda, another little bag of snacks, and I came to my room and I took a nap. I slept for 5 hours. It was so peaceful. When I had awakened, I thought I was into the next day, but I was not. I was not into Monday yet. It was still Sunday. And so I relaxed, looked at some YouTube videos, and then decided that I would sleep and wake up early. And that's where we are now, Queen. So that was my day. And I wanted to depict that to you so that you could understand and you can visualize exactly what I'm talking about. Because when you are in grief, you feel as though you're alone. You don't want any bother out of people. You're irritable. So you isolate yourself, and then you really do become alone. You only talk to a few choice people, and then you're lounging around most of the day, pushing yourself, trying to get up to clean yourself up, to clean up the dishes that you ate from, and maybe to do a little chore or two, and then you lounging again. So, Queen, that is normal. Now, a lot of times people think that because they're feeling this way, they are depressed. Well, unless they have had depression prior to the death of a loved one or the loss of something significant, then that's the depression that came ahead of the grief. And because of that, it is no change. It is no difference. However, if a person never experienced depression before, then it is the bereavement period that can last up to 6 months. So there will be no formal diagnosis of depression until after the 6-month period has passed. Now, both grief and depression can involve feelings of sadness and hopelessness. But with grief, these are typically connected to a loss on any level. Loss of a loved one, loss of a car, loss of a house, loss of a job. Okay? Any level. But it's normal grieving. So let's talk about how we can start to feel better. You can start to feel better by looking towards coping skills. So these coping skills are thoughts and actions that you use when you are feeling distressed, have some type of bereavement going on, that is grief, or depressed. And so you may decide to use any coping skill. The most important thing is not to avoid situations. You need to experience the situation and utilize your coping skills. So here are some of these coping skills that we'll talk about today. And it is considered 1, positive reframing. And that is, look at the bright side of the situation. I know you may feel like, well, that's difficult to do. And yes, it is. But do you know you have both positive and negative memories about whatever you're grieving about? In my case, it was the death of my significant other. His name is Rodney. Okay. And so I had good times with Rodney, beautiful times with Rodney, comforting times with Rodney, loving, secure times with Rodney. And then I had bad times with Rodney. The type, Rodney, I need to get my work done. No, I cannot be hanging out. Are you kidding me? Not with all this professor work I need to do. Not with all this therapy work. How can you be mad, Rodney? You've been with me for 10 years now. You know my schedule, So how can you be upset? Why do you want to argue with me, Rodney? Because I have to do my work, So those are the bad times I'm speaking about. Now, moving along, when you positively reframe the situation, you are looking towards the bright side. It can be challenging at first, but keep doing it. It's no harm in feeling, well, I can't think of anything right now that would make it a positive situation. That is because your mind is confused. That is because your mind is playing tricks on you. And so you have to counteract those negative thoughts so that you can experience the good. And then as time go on, it will be all good and you rarely will think about the bad things that happened along the way. So once again, you may focus on good memories and lessons learned, or you could work on a tribute. Now, this tribute could be in any form. It could be to develop a song about your loved one. It could be a memorial quilt. It could be a garden. These are the type of interactions that you'll have that will reframe from the negative to the positive and help you to see the good. Not only that, it will bring you relief in knowing that you are doing something for the person that you love, or you're distracting yourself away from what you have lost. Now, the next step is humor. Once again, you may feel like, oh no, there's nothing that I can laugh about. But if you think long and hard enough, oh God, there is something that you can laugh about. I'm in Delaware, and right down the street is Rodney Square. Yes, I told you my significant other's name is Rodney. And there was a method to my madness. I said, I am getting ready to kick off season 5. There is the Jazz Fest happening this week. And so I can do my work during the day, and in the evening, I can go out to the Jazz Fest because it kicks off around 4 p.m. and it stays open until 10 p.m. So my schedule is going to allow me to go there to the Jazz Fest around 5:30 p.m. Spend time there and then come back and do a little work. See, it all works out. Well, the story is, one year when I first learned about the Jazz Fest, Rodney and I came out together. We leave off of the Greyhound bus. We walk up a couple blocks and we're at Rodney Square. He looks up. This is the humor. And he said, yeah, they're having the Jazz Fest in my square. Rodney Square, this is my square. I looked over, because Rodney is a baby. And Rodney always have to relate something to him. A little histrionic is what we call it in psychology. And a little narcissistic. And we all know that word. So I look over and said, Rodney, they did not name the square after you. Well, you couldn't tell him that. Oh, no, not at all. So we have a beautiful time at the Clifford T. Brown Jazz Fest that happens in Delaware every year. So that's where I am. And that is the surprise. This evening, God willing, that means if I'm not in a lot of pain, right now I'm experiencing some pain, but I've taken my medication, and so I should begin to feel better. And I'm hoping and praying that we can kick it off at the Jazz Fest, where I will be showing you videos of what's going on, boo. See, if you can't go, I take you with me. I took you with me on that cruise, and I showed you Amber Cove back in January. Remember that? Oh, yes. That was season 4, the memories. And I said to you, I can vividly recall saying to you, Queen, start that pay me account. Now, didn't I say that, Queen? Did you do it? See, you didn't think I was going to follow up, but did you do it? Did you start that pay me account? I'm hoping and praying that you did, because I don't care if it is $10. If you save up enough $10, you can get on the train from Baltimore to Washington, D.C. and spend only $20. And then when you get there, you can buy yourself a slice of pizza. And you can sit outside and you can look at Washington, D.C. And if you have enough money, you can get on that big tour bus, Queen, and then you can see Washington, D.C. So, Queen, if you did not start that pay me account, I recommend that you do, and you do it with the quickness. So from my pay me account, oh yes, I save all winter long so that when the summertime comes, I can get up and go on an excursion. Nothing too expensive, but something just for me to do. And so Delaware was my selection. And once again, we are kicking it off, and we are going to see some jazz bands this evening. Now, we talked about 2 things, Queen: positive reframing and humor as coping skills to utilize if you're going through any type of grief or trauma. The next thing that is on our list is spirituality. Knowing who you are on the inside, knowing who you connect to as far as a higher power is concerned. That's what we're talking about. So you can always feel connected to your higher purpose. Have a sense of connection to your loved one who is now in the afterlife. And that will bring you comfort to know, as the Bible says, why are you crying? She is only asleep. And so that is the question I had to bring to myself in dealing with the grief of losing Rodney. Why are you crying? Yes, it was shocking. Get yourself back together. And I know Rodney wants you to go on and live life. So the afterlife is the connection that I make on a spiritual level to speak to any significant other, whether it be friend or whether it be family. When I want to talk to these individuals, I know they can't talk back, but I can say, you know what? I miss y'all. See you when I get there. That's what I'm talking about. Or sometimes I'm in pain and I find it hard to move my leg. And I'll say, Rodney, I can't move my leg. Because see, Rodney was the person I would go to when I'm feeling sick. Rodney, I don't feel good today. Rodney, I have the flu. And here comes Rodney bringing me some soup. Let me bring you some food, baby, at my door. Because we lived in separate locations. We lived 15 minutes apart. He lived in his apartment. I lived in my house. Okay. And we would go back and forth, back and forth. So I always felt like I had two homes. And he always felt like he had two homes. If he felt as though, I want you over here, can you come over? We're going to watch some movies. We're going to eat Chinese food. That's what we would do. And then I would say, Rodney, I cook for Thanksgiving. Come on over, and that's what we would do. And that's how we maintain our connection. So I connect with Rodney when I'm feeling pain. Rodney, I'm in so much pain. I can't move my leg. Give me the energy. Give me the strength. Talk to God for me, please. Let him know that I'm in pain down here, And then the next thing you know, I'm up and about. I just had to say it. And that's what I would do. So, acceptance is on our list too. We have to learn to accept that we are not okay about the loss. It's not about being okay. It's more so about it's a natural occurrence and it's okay to feel however we feel. And it's more about focusing on what comes next in life and how to learn to live through the loss. Rodney was not my only person. Years ago, I had a husband and he died. Then I had a sister. She died. Then I had my mother. She died. Now I have Rodney. He died. Okay? So I've had loss in my life. And I did know that one day I would see the sunlight again and the darkness would fade. Because my grandmother told me a long time ago, she said, it's like a bad storm. This too shall pass. That's what she said when my husband died. It's like a bad storm. It will pass. And I knew that going through it with my sister, my mother, and now Rodney passing through to a different type of experience beyond this current experience that we call life. I knew that my mind would adjust to it. Because in the beginning, my mind was all these negative things. And it kept cursing, it kept cursing, it kept cursing. But I knew That was because I was not expressing it outwardly. I was not crying in a way that I need to cleanse my soul and cleanse my spirit. So I had to let it go. I had to accept it. I had to understand that this is life. I must get through it and then go on to refocusing on the positive emotions such as hope and gratitude. So I told God how grateful, how very, very grateful I am to have had the experience of all these people in my life as I move forward into another round of my current existence. Now, we have to, number 5, there are 6 points. I am at number 5, to look at the perspective focusing. Gain what's important. Look at a wider picture. Contemplate what's going on and what you can control and what you cannot control. I couldn't control the death of Rodney. If I could, he would go nowhere. Okay? It's out of my control. And so I had to adjust to that. And I had plans for our elderly years. And now those plans are no more. So my mind and my spirit have to adjust to that. And now I need to make new plans for my elderly years. So I could know exactly my direction. And not only that, I'm leaning on the wisdom and the understanding of the God that I serve, who will guide me as I travel through my next journey. I know that. So it's all about a wider perspective. To cope with grief, try focusing on aspects that go beyond the loss. For example, what you learned from the loss itself, or from the person or event you lost. That's what it means to have a perspective focusing that's beyond the loss. Now, finally, we are at problem solving. It seems big. So I pause. And as I pause, I'm going to take a sip of this soda that I'm drinking. I was feeling a little thirsty. So now let's look at problem solving. Remember that not all grief is related to irreversible loss, such as the death of a loved one. In some cases, you may not be able to take control of your situation. And we just mentioned that. And solve problems to improve the outcome. However, what you can do is put your focus on specific tasks, such as moving into a new place, reorganizing your dresser drawers, separating your joint accounts if you are married or if you are in a living situation. There is business that need to be taken care of on any level of the loss. You can expect that there's going to be things to take care of. So that's how you begin to problem solve. And you make yourself a priority list. Write it down, because during this time, it's already confusing. Everything is going on. So write it down. What do you have to take care of? So one of the first things I thought about is that when it comes to the manly type of tasks that need to be done in my house, I will always rely on Rodney or my son. I still have my son, by the way. But Rodney was the person who would do the majority of things. And so I decided, okay, what am I going to do about this? What am I going to do? I don't have Rodney to come around to paint the room. What am I going to do? Well, of course, if you look at YouTube, you're always getting a thumbtack commercial. And then when you have a house, then they have the type of insurance that you can call if you need the refrigerator repaired or the washer repaired. So those type of things, the insurance will do. I have that type of policy. But thumbtack is my go-to. If it becomes too much for me to do, then I will hire the contractor to come in and do it for me. And of course, that means I need to save for that. So that's a different type of account. Not my pay me account. Oh no, it's not coming out of there. But what I can do is I can open up a home repair account that I don't touch the money. I just add money to it, $25 a month. And so that if there's something that goes on and my insurance can't cover it, there's something cosmetic that need to be done. For example, you may decide you want to put some panels up on the ceiling to make it more aesthetic, more beautiful. And so, of course, as a female, I am not getting up there because I cannot be falling down, breaking up my bones. So I can hire Tic Tac. But I know that is a job that I need to save for. And so during the winter months, I'll save for it. And during the summer months, before I go on any excursions or in between excursions, I can say, I have this amount of money and this is what I can afford to do. And then you do that. Okay, so problem solving is a part of the grief process and the bereavement period as you readjust the things that you need to get done because your life still must go on. So a brief, you know what, I am getting so that I can hardly talk. Let me go. Let me start again. A brief recap is what I was trying to say, Queen, of the coping skills when you are grieving is 1, positive reframing. That means looking on the bright side of things. 2, humor. Find the humor in life. No matter what situation is going on, you can think of some things that you and a significant person have done together that was all so funny. Me and Rodney have a lot of times like that. And you can just have yourself a laugh fest. The next thing is spirituality, connecting to your higher power for the strength that you're going to need to get through the coming days. Acceptance. It's okay not to be okay with everything that's going on, but be okay with the things that you know that are going to happen or is happening right now and you do have some control over. Make sure that you always keep hope and gratitude in your heart and in your spirit, because when you are grateful, you will find the answer because God will send it to you. Remember, look at the wider picture, not just the loss of the loved one, but everything that centers around your life. So that is perspective focusing, and make a plan. And finally, know how to problem solve. Well, Queen, we did get through the kickoff conversation that I want to have for today. Please excuse any errors that I made as far as my vocalization. I do stutter from time to time. You'll notice that in every video, but I do know what I'm talking about, Queen. I've had this experience of being a therapist and working along with people for over 35 years now. And so, Queen, I wanted to come to you, connecting over the internet, so that if you cannot afford anything that's therapeutic, our conversations will be therapeutic, but not only therapeutic to some degree. Like grief is therapeutic when you can discuss it. However, it's not always about grief, honey. It's about having some type of fun in life. And once again, I will be right back at you, hopefully by the end of the day, uploading the videos so that you can go to Rodney Square to the Jazz Fest. This is my celebration for Rodney and for you and for me and for anybody who want to join in with us, that we need to celebrate our lives and not live in grief. Be blessed until we speak again.